So we like challenging every South African. If you're not leaving and you're staying, you've got to roll up your sleeves. You've got to come to the point where you say, this is my home, this is my house, this is my town, this is my province, this is my country.
I'm not leaving this country for anything. Call me whatever, I'll work with you tomorrow.
Thank you, Johan. Good morning. It is a real honor to be with you. Thank you, Johan. I wish my mum had heard your kind words. I've got 5 children here living in South Africa, and if you wonder, I know what you're thinking, how come you look so young and so fresh? It's Nivea for men. I love South Africa, and I love living in South Africa. I love living in Johannesburg, and it's not the naive joy of a tourist on holiday. I've lived here almost 20 years now with a family of 7, and we've experienced the same service delivery challenges that many of us face, including the load shedding and water shortages being taken advantage of, and 3 of our family have been at the wrong end of guns in the last few years. We've had friends die from natural causes which we are sure would have been prevented in other places, but we still love living here. Challenges occur wherever you live your life and whatever life you live. And we are more than content with the unique challenges South Africa brings to work, to family, and to life. If you think about the daily experience of the life we live here in Gauteng, we see the sun over 8 hours a day through the whole year. We live free from most terrorism, nuclear threats, from serious earthquakes, from tornadoes, from volcanoes. We live in an environment that is charming, from the sweet thorn mimosas to the jacaranda, from the koppies to the parks, from the wide streets of Pretoria to the narrow streets, mines and courts of Johannesburg. The holidays that are on our doorstep are easily affordable and incredible. You can't ski very easily, but there are world-class Big 5 reserves like the Kruger. There are beach resorts and mountain heritage parks almost unequaled in the world. And the hospitality industry in this land has a sense of welcome and joy that is hard to beat. The schools we were able to send our children to, government ex-Model C schools, were as good, I think, as any we might have had access to in the UK, and significantly cheaper than any private education in the UK. And our kids' access to sports and extramurals were even more impressive. Not only that, but the life-affirming values of respecting adults, of the importance of parents in a child's education and in their life decisions is something that still holds here in South Africa. And many in South Africa are able to afford, to a greater or lesser extent, domestic help in the home, which not only builds capacity into life, but gives employment to those in need. We've had the privilege as a family of adopting a child and becoming guardians to another. A privilege that I think would be much harder to come by in many, many other countries in the world. We've sat in family meetings of Tswana and Zulu families discussing the future of a child and come to understand something of the wonder of the diversity of culture that lives in this land. If the fullness of our lives is to be found in the depth and diversity of our relationship with God and with fellow human beings, with all the messiness that can bring, I cannot think of a place that I would rather live. Not only do we have access to humanity globally and global culture through our air travel, international brands, media, social media, but we have a plethora of thriving local cultures living side by side on our very doorstep. And living here, we have the opportunity to escape the dull, unidimensional life that so many others have to endure, and experience something that is multidimensional, rich, diverse, colourful, immersive, and at some times somewhat intense life. I must confess too that I love my work. As Johan said, I trained initially as a neuroscientist in Oxford before moving to become a Christian pastor. We arrived in South Africa in 2005 at the invitations of some local pastors to set up training. The new professional body in South Africa, the Association of Christian Religious Practitioners, estimates that although the majority of our nurses, teachers, police, accountants are trained, up to 90% of our church leaders are not. And that's although over 7 out of 10 people would identify as Christians and attend church on Sundays. The need in this space is phenomenal. The lack of training, according to the research the professional body has done, is due to 3 factors: lack of financial resources, lack of prior education, never getting matric or even matric exemption, and lack of geographical proximity, access just geographically to study. To tackle this, from 2014, a plan was made and the professional body put together with the QCTO, Quality Council for Trades and Occupations, a new professional qualification for pastoring in South Africa. And they have sought to make it as accessible as possible academically, and have encouraged skills development providers into this space. And I think since it became law in, 2019, there are now 38 registered skill providers in the land training people to be professionals within the pastoral space. I work at the Johannesburg Bible College. We're interdenominational. We have 330 students or so, made up of men and women from all ages, age 19 to age 70. We serve the Bazawani, the Bafundis, the Majimbos, the Bamngane, the Magogos, Namadalas. And we work hard to make our training as accessible as possible. We have very generous donors who provide bursaries for the majority of our students, and even on a daily basis will provide transport assistance. We work hard to make the material user-friendly. It's written majority by South Africans now who've come through the training, with illustrations and writing and teaching material that is relevant to a township and to the urban space in South Africa. We employ our graduates as tutors to work in vernacular to help the next generation understand what they're learning. And rather than have one single location that's hard to access, we have campuses in Joburg, in Klipspruit, Soweto, and in Marlborough Gardens in Alex. Some of our students will arrive in a Mercedes to college. The majority will come by train or by taxi, and many will walk at least some of the distance from home or from the taxi to college. A few of our students over the years have had degrees, some have even had PhDs. Many never finish school. But the life transformation each year is remarkable. The impact of a staff team investing in the lives of students as we worship together our wonderful Lord, as we study God's word together, learning how to get it right and get it across, brings about an empowering transformation in community that is hard to match. I've seen as gang members and professors, pastors and professionals, young and old, have come to respect, to love, to serve, to know their faith, and celebrate with one another the incredible diversity that we have, which is hard to imagine or even see in any other context. The transformation is phenomenal. One year I remember there was a pediatric nephrologist, a professor at Wits, and he sat all year next to a guy who'd been a shepherd in Lesotho who lived in Zandspruit, and they prayed together and they worshipped together and they learned together. No country is perfect, and I'm not naive about the challenges of South Africa. But I do know that if you are prepared to fight cynicism and look on the bright side, if your aim is, as we've heard so much this morning, to engage for the good of this nation, aware there will be setbacks, resilience is a necessity. then there is a life to be had here like no other. And given that we only have one life to live, God willing, I would love to live out my days here and experience the depth and the breadth of humanity that is so much a part of our everyday lives. And for those of you who are thinking of leaving, remember, if the grass looks greener elsewhere, it's probably because it's always raining. Thank you.